Hi, this is Susie from Alabaster Flask, and I'm here to show you some of my Asian journals that I've been working on, and a surprise ending. I've always loved Asian things, and I'm going to do a flip through of these pretty briefly, but just tell you the elements that I used and why I love the elements of Asian culture so much. They're just so beautiful. Their imagery is just gorgeous, and so here's the first one. This was probably my fourth or fifth journal that I made, having started back into paper crafting after a very long hiatus from it. I returned to my love of doing this and trying to make things look old, which I really love. Love to age fabrics and materials and just come up with something that looks like it's been around for decades or centuries even. And I think that this one, I achieved that a bit with this one. I'm pretty pleased with it, really. There's a lot of digital elements in this, some which I just pulled images from art publications or printed up digital images from various artists on Etsy, whose names I will share them with you when I've done all the research on them and tried to pull together the ones that I used. This is a ruffled piece of an antique Japanese book. So they printed wood blocks onto rice paper, and that was how they did their books. And they're just beautifully done, and I love the way they bound them and everything. But this is more of the Japanese book pages, some of the kimono fabrics that I've begun working with, and this is actually a piece from the end bolt of a Japanese kimono fabric. They're vintage, or well, not antique, but vintage kimono fabrics, and I've always loved them. Always loved beautiful Asian textiles of all kinds. And again, their artwork is just, it's so gorgeous. There's so much peaceful activity and beautiful colors in them. This one is more of the these are all chiriman, I believe, which is a Japanese fabric that is made of twisted cords of silk. And the more they twist the cords, the more bumpy the texture of the finished product. These came, I believe, out of a Ephemera Kit. They're just little things that I put in there. This is a stamp, the Japanese symbol for love. More book pages, more of the Stamperia image, more Tracy Fox labels. This is a ruffled piece of file ribbon, or grosgrain as it's more commonly known, with just a little tuck spot here and another card. I like to back mine on chipboard. It's just got a nice consistency to the board and a great texture on the back of it. So that's those are actually Chinese images on that paper, and this is a Chinese image as well. This is pleated artisan paper, Japanese, I believe it is, or Asian of some sort. Lace from Mary Not Martha, more of the chiriman kimono fabric, another artisan paper, more of the tea-dyed origami paper, which I love, and I love turquoise so much I use it all over the place. And little black soutache ribbon, chiriman, more of the Stamperia paper. This here is a label from a block, or bolt rather, of Japanese kimono fabric, and they would put these on the ends of the bolts to certify authenticity of the fabric and where it came from, the fiber content, this 100% silk, I believe, the family stamp, just fascinating pieces of information that have come from this. It's just a little tuck spot with another Tracy Fox label and more chiriman, another little vintage, not vintage, digital image. This I did on a piece of coffee dyed cardstock and walnut stained it before I had any oxide inks or anything to work with. This little piece here is from a Japanese paper pattern for children's clothing. I just love it. I love the way it looks. Another beautiful image on this piece. These images here come from the paper that I've used. They're a vintage paper, and when I print on it, it gives such a beautiful quality to the image. It almost makes it look as if it's a vintage image. It's got a translucent quality to it, and it's lovely. Here is another image more. Here is a piece of the chiriman. You can see it. You can see hopefully see the weave in it. And again, it's a more traditional pattern of Japanese fabric, which I love. And a geisha stamp friend gave me. I didn't do very well with it. Still new to stamping. This is a piece of grosgrain ribbon from a company called Shindo, and Shindo is one of the 2 or 3 primary manufacturers of fine Japanese trims and ribbons and laces, and I thought it was perfect for this, so I've included that. This tag I made from a Tim Holtz gold piece of paper that I sanded and added some ink or something to it, probably the walnut stain, and another Stamperia image and the piece of vintage lace. Here is another of those images on the older paper, more of the chiriman fabric and the lace. This is, there's a piece of vintage, what is that, twill tape that I've shredded the ends and added just a little bit of that tea-dyed origami paper, because I love that color, as I probably said, and you will see it often in everything that I do. If I can put the color turquoise in there, I do. One last label with various images, and then I have not finished this yet, as you can tell, but I love the direction it's going and will ultimately take. Who knows where it will end up. Then I want to share with you, I have 4 folios / journalettes in progress or completed. This first one was done for me primarily by Michele of Boho Crafty Chica, and she started out by using images and things that I gave her, and then she gave me the basics, and she was the one that got me started on this wonderful layering of these textiles. And she created the folder, and then I started to add all the other elements in as I had them, and a tag and the beautiful beads that she put on the bottom, which is just wonderful. But it was fun doing the details on this, but she was so instrumental in helping me get started with this, and I'm so appreciative for her. So that's that one. Here's my next unfinished one. It just needs to be bound and beaded, and it is more digital images, and it's chiriman again. More of the textiles, which I love. This piece is just a beautiful silk, all Japanese now. I'm full on into Japanese here, except for this, which is raw silk. They're ribbons that I used to make and sell. And mother of pearl button, and this is more of a raw silk. I don't know the name of this particular fabric. I will have to research that one. But more chiriman. This one is tsumugi, which is a Japanese fabric, which is has not a drapey texture. It's a little more firm, and often in the deeper colors, you'll see they use volcanic ash to dye it, and such as this one. I think that one may have some. That one might not be tsumugi, this one is. And then this is a vintage lace. More of the digital image on the vintage paper. More chiriman. Another image, more images on that paper, that particular paper. And more of the book pages that I've just kind of shredded up and put on there. And my favorite page. I love this page. I love the colors in it, and just it just makes me happy to look at it. So that's the one that will be soon to be finished. This one next is, again, more of the turquoise. It has the mother of pearl buttons on a cotton cord that I believe was jewelry cord, and I just coffee dyed it. And lots of digitals, more of the Japanese fabrics, more of the layering of the textiles. Just a little piece of gold tissue, some silk. This is Japanese as well, from a deconstructed kimono, which is where all the fabrics came from. More images. This one, I love this page because I just got a little carried away with all the beautiful fabrics and ribbons and things. And some more of those there. So that's another one that's actually completed. This one here is another that I had fun with. This, Michele had helped me do these folders to begin, and then I just embellished everything, but she had done these, what we're calling snippet tape, or snippet, I don't know what we're calling them, snippet something, because they are ultimately like snippets, but they're just sort of a mishmash of Japanese elements. I've got two layers of fabrics here with the Tracy Fox label. Here we've got more kimono fabrics, more Japanese vintage and antique book pages. This came off of a digital, just a piece of paper, some more papers. This is a vintage leaf that I used the opposite side of it. It's actually green on the other side, but I just loved the color and how it worked with the colors in the label that Michele had made for me, rather the tag. This one is on a jewelry cord of some type, or a knotted, no, this was like a cotton waxed cord, and I used stones and beads. So these are actual semi-precious gemstones. I don't know what any of them are specifically, but this is a beautiful bead. Looks like a art glass bead. Just look at the colors in that. So gorgeous. And more images, more layered fabrics, and transitioning into the surprise at the end, which is going to be these elements will all be available as kits from me personally. So here is the kit, completed kit. Finally, after months of curating things and trying to pull out all of this, I have, with Michele's help again, been able to assemble this kit, which will contain all of these things that you can use to do your own journal if you wish. Michele did these fabulous masterboard folders, just gorgeous with the fibers and you can use them as a masterboard, cut them up, you can use them as the beginning of a journal. This is just tied on. These are faux vintage Asian coins that came off of a piece that I had, and we just made them into dangles. And inside there will be all the elements. There's a snippet piece. There will be 12 pieces of assorted Japanese vintage kimono fabrics. So they're all different ones, and each pack will contain 12 pieces that are not the same, but there may be the same in other kits, because I do have a limited quantity of them, although I have a lot. So I'm not worried about running out immediately, but they're not endless, because the woman has now stopped selling them, as she cannot deconstruct any more of these kimonos. It's a piece of artisan paper with 2 mother of pearl buttons. In here is a package of artisan papers. There's about 18 to 20 pieces of all Asian papers, just beautiful artisan handmade papers. In here are various ribbons, just a few pieces of ribbons that you can use to embellish, and some actual stamps with Japanese art images. They are not from Japan, but they are all images of Japanese art. And a piece of French linen ribbon. Here are more stones. There's turquoise, some dyed jade, some dyed onyx, coral, and some other pieces. I don't know precisely what they are. And an entire packet of mother of pearl and shell buttons that you can use to embellish. So, and along with that will come these pieces from Japanese books. So these ones are actually from newer books, but they have a nice texture to them, so I love working with them. And I love the Japanese symbols. These ones are these are from antique books, so there will be several pages of these different books. Sometimes, if you want, you could actually just use them as a page in your journal, although I can't separate them right now. I'll be able to get another one. Here, this one is, they're very fine, and as I mentioned, they're block printed on rice paper. And I'm trying to open this. There we go. So you see how beautiful that would be? You could even use it as an overlay against a strong image in the back to soften the image. This is from a larger book. I just love these, and you can cut them apart into pieces or just use elements of them however you wish. So that's what will come in the kit. If you're interested at all, you can email me at obersw@gmail.com. I'll put that in the notes below. Or you can send me a message here on YouTube, or you can, how else can you? My Instagram account is not operative currently. I can't figure out how to get back in it. Oh, and I forgot one thing. There will also be a masterboard that I will have done myself that will not be backed. It will be just on the paper, and it will include the chipboard if you decide to back it, but you can do whatever you want with it. I felt like I wanted to include all these lovely artists' work in the kit. However, I cannot just give you the images because that would infringe on their rights, and I would feel terrible doing that. So this is actually a masterboard, and then you can disassemble it, or you can make a journal cover out of it, or you can do whatever you want with it. So those are the kits, the journals. These are various folders that I'll be working with to create more journals as time permits. I've done different kinds of things to begin with, and inside they have the little page. So those will be fun to work with. And then these, I want to share with you these because these are the gorgeous folder covers that Michele created for me. Every one of them is unique and one of a kind and so beautifully done. She has such an eye. And again, these will become folders, parts of kits. They will have the dangles on them. Every one of them is just absolutely fantastic. I love them. Couldn't be happier, and so happy with what she did. Look at the fibers on these, just what she's done. She's such an artist. It just blows me away. More of the, now see, here's the dangles that will always be included in the kits. Here's another. I love what she did here. She made the rose. She just figured out how to do that while she was working on it. Very talented. And here's another. So these will ultimately become the kits that will house all of the other elements. Here's another. This lady worked ceaselessly to help me with this project. And I could never have done it without her, seriously. So I'm very grateful for that. Thank you so much, Michele. Thank you for helping me film this, my first video. I was so nervous, and thank you all for watching, and I hope you consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you. Bye-bye.